Have you ever been hurt so deeply that you just went silent? Not because you had nothing to say, but because silence felt like the only safe place left. Today we're exploring the dark corners in the psychology of people who go silent when they're hurt, and what's really happening inside them. Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you love. Maybe it's a partner, a close friend, or a family member you've trusted for years. They say something, maybe without even realizing it, that lands like a punch to the chest. Your throat tightens, your eyes sting, and for a split second you're about to say something. The words are right there, but then you stop. You swallow it. All of it. You look down or you look away, and you let the moment pass like it never happened. And if someone asked you right now, "Are you okay?" You'd probably say yes. Fine, I'm fine. But you're not fine. And somewhere deep inside, you know that too. There's something that almost no one talks about. The strange, exhausting, deeply human experience of choosing silence over expression when you're in pain. It doesn't look dramatic. There are no slammed doors, no raised voices, no tears streaming down anyone's face. From the outside, everything looks perfectly normal. But on the inside, an entire storm is raging. And the person in the middle of that storm, they've chosen, consciously or not, to let no one in. I think a lot of us have been there, more than we'd ever admit. Maybe it started small. Someone dismissed your feelings once when you were young, and you learned quietly that sharing hurt doesn't always lead to comfort. Sometimes it leads to more pain. Sometimes it leads to silence from the other person too. And that silence feels worse than the original wound. So you started keeping things inside, not because you wanted to, but because it felt safer. And over time, that became your default. Your armor, your way of moving through a world that didn't always feel safe enough to be honest in. The quiet ones aren't cold. They aren't unfeeling. If anything, they feel too much. So much that the only way to survive it is to go still, to go inward, to disappear just enough that the pain can't reach them, or at least that's what they tell themselves. Here's where it gets fascinating, and a little heartbreaking. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who consistently suppress emotional expression during conflict are not doing so out of indifference. They're doing it because their nervous system has been conditioned, often from childhood, to associate vulnerability with danger. Expressing pain, in their experience, has historically led to outcomes that felt worse than staying silent. So the brain adapted. It learned to protect by shutting down. This is not a character flaw. This is survival. Psychologists sometimes call this pattern stonewalling, a term that sounds harsh, almost accusatory. But what that clinical word misses is the internal reality of the person doing it. Because stonewalling doesn't feel like power. It feels like holding your breath underwater and hoping you can stay there long enough for the danger to pass. Research from the Gottman Institute, one of the most respected relationship science organizations in the world, tells us something striking. When someone enters that shutdown state during emotional conflict, their heart rate often climbs above 100 beats per minute. Their body is not calm. Their body is in full fight or flight mode. The stillness you see is not peace. It is a person white-knuckling their way through an overwhelming internal experience while trying to show the world nothing at all. There's also a concept in attachment theory called fearful avoidance, sometimes called disorganized attachment, where a person desperately wants closeness but is simultaneously terrified of it. These are often people who grew up in environments where the very people who were supposed to comfort them were also the ones who caused harm. Love and pain got tangled together early, and so as adults, when someone hurts them, their instinct is not to reach out. Their instinct is to disappear. They don't go silent because they don't care. They go silent because caring has always felt dangerous. But let's go deeper. Because there's a shadow side to this silence that even the people living it rarely examine openly. When you go silent after being hurt, something quietly powerful starts to happen. The silence becomes a message, not a spoken one, but felt. It says, "You've lost access to me." And there is, buried beneath the pain, a small and very human satisfaction in watching someone realize that. Watching them wonder what they did wrong. Watching them try to reach you across the wall you've built. This is the part that's hard to admit, because it means that sometimes the silence isn't just protection. Sometimes it's the only form of control available to someone who has spent a long time feeling powerless in their relationships, and that's not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be understood. Because here is what that need for control is really saying: I matter. What happened to me matters. And if I can't make you hear that with words, maybe I can make you feel it through my absence. The tragedy is that it rarely works the way they hope. Most people don't decode silence correctly. Most people either don't notice or they interpret the withdrawal as anger, coldness, punishment. And so the person in pain ends up more alone than before. Having communicated nothing, having resolved nothing, having protected themselves so completely that no one could find their way in. And then comes the loneliness, not the ordinary kind. The particular loneliness of being surrounded by people who believe they know you, while you carry something inside that none of them have ever truly seen. Over time, this becomes a kind of invisible weight. The quiet person stops expecting to be understood. They stop asking for what they need. They become the strong one, the easy one, the one who never causes problems, while inside, entire worlds of unspoken feeling are slowly accumulating with nowhere to go. And then one day, the right person shows up, or the right moment comes, and something cracks open. And what pours out isn't anger, isn't blame, it's depth. It's years of carefully contained honesty finally finding a door. That's who these people really are. Not cold, not broken, not damaged, just someone who has been waiting, sometimes for a very long time, to feel safe enough to be seen, and that is something worth honoring. If something in this video landed for you, if you saw yourself in the silence, in the waiting, in the quiet exhaustion of feeling everything while showing nothing, I just want you to sit with this for a moment. You are not too much. You are not broken. The silence was never a flaw. It was the best tool you had at the time. And if this made you think of someone you love, someone who goes quiet when they're hurting, maybe now you understand them a little differently. Maybe now you know that the silence isn't rejection. It's a door. And what they might need most is someone who's willing to knock gently and wait. If this video spoke to you, please share it. Send it to someone who might need to hear it. Drop a comment, even just one word, because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are carrying things they've never had words for. Subscribe if you want more of this. Slow, honest conversations about the hidden life of emotions. Thank you for being here. You being here matters.